Good morning, friends. Welcome to my channel Education for Life. In this lesson, we will be learning about active and passive voice in the present tense. If you like this video, please do subscribe and like my channel. About active and passive voice. And first of all, we will see about active voice form. When we want to say that the subject of a sentence is doing the action, we use the verb of that sentence in its active form. In this active form, we mainly focus on the subject, verb, and object. But in the passive form, you can see in the next slide, for example, we'll see an example in active voice form. A man is cutting down a tree. In this case, who is the subject? A man. And who is cutting down a tree? The man is cutting down a tree. So we can see that the subject is the man and he is performing an action, cutting down the tree. So cutting is the verb and the tree is the object. So in this case, the subject of the verb is who's doing the action. Who's doing the action? The man. So he's the subject and the tree is the object. So now let's see in the passive voice. When we want to say that the subject of the sentence is not doing anything but is allowing something to be done to it by somebody else, we use the passive voice form. In this case, the object does not do anything in the sentence, but it forces someone else or it forces the subject to do the word. So in this case, for example, we can see that the man, he's forcing the tree to be cut down. So in this case, we can see the tree is not cutting down the man, but the man is cutting down the tree. In this case, the subject is forcing the object to do the subject is being forced by the object is being forced by the subject to do the action. For example, you can see that the tree is being cut down by a man. Along with the change in the position of the verbs, we can also see that the change in the tenses. We can see that is being, which means that the be, been, being. We can see the change in tenses. So the next example is the boy is carrying the girl. So in this case, we can see that the boy is the subject, and what is he doing? He's carrying. So who is the if you have any doubt about how to find the subject in a sentence, please ask the question: who is doing the action? In this case, who's carrying the girl? The boy. So as it is a simple sentence, we can find it easily. However, in the many complex sentences, we must see who is performing the action, and the answer we get is the subject. So in this case, the boy is the subject, carrying is the object, verb, and the girl is the object. So it is in active voice. The boy is the subject, and is carrying. We can see I have already said that the boy who is performing the action on which the action is being performed is the verb. So in this case, is carrying is the verb, and the object on whom the action is being performed is the and the answer we get is the object. So the girl is the object of the verb. And who is doing the action? The boy. So he's the subject. Who is doing the action of carrying? The boy. So he's the subject. And example 2, we'll see that the girl is being carried away by the boy. So in this case, if this sentence is in the passive voice, as the subject, as we have already seen that the boy is carrying the girl. So the boy was the subject and the girl was the verb. So in this case, the girl has become the subject. So the object has become into subject and the subject has turned into the object. So along with the change in the position of the subjects, we can also see that we can also see that the conversion in the tense. We cannot say that there is a change in tense. There is a conversion in tense. We can see that this is also in the present continuous and that was also in the present continuous. So there is a conversion in the little change in that position of the tenses. We can see that is being carried is done by the girl. So the girl is the subject, is being carried is the verb, and by is the preposition. In every passive sentence, we use the word preposition by followed by the subject or the object. Who is doing the action? The boy. You can see that the position of the boy does not change. He is only doing the object. The subject is performing the object, although it is placed in the position of the object. Now the changes one. We can see that John reads a book every day. In this case, I hope you have found out the subject. John is the subject. Yeah, it's true. And the book is the object. How we can find the object? The easiest way is that we can see that on which is John performing the action. The John is performing the action of reading on a book. So the book is the object and reads is the verb. So it is in the active voice. John is the subject of the active voice. So in the passive voice, we converted the object. The book was the object, was the object. So the book has become the subject in the passive voice, and John, who was the subject in the active voice, has become the object in the passive voice, followed by the verb, followed by the preposition by. So reads has become is read. As the reads, we can see that the read and read. The read changes into the third form of the verb. P3 verb 3 word for third form of the verb, so it has become read followed by the word is. So in the passive voice, it has become a book is read by John every day. The subject of the active voice becomes the object of the preposition in the passive sentence. The easiest way to remember this line is the subject becomes the object and the object becomes the subject. You can see that it has shown an arrow mark, which means that the subject has become the object. And next is the changes 3. John reads a book every day. Active voice. We can see that this is in the active voice. John is the subject and a book is the object and the read is the verb. A book is the object of the verb. Actually, this sentence and the last previous sentence was a similar one. Yes, book is read by John every day. This slide was to give you a recap about the previous one, and because the object a book has changed into the subject. In the previous one, we saw that the subject has become the object, and now the object has become the subject. So the object becomes the subject, and the subject becomes the object. And next is the change in tenses. 1. She bakes a cake. This is in active voice, and you can also see that this is in the present simple present tense. Bakes is the verb, and she is the subject, and cakes is the object. So it is in the simple present tense. So now it changes into the subject. Cakes was the object, so it becomes the subject. Cakes, bakes changed into bake, baked, baked. So it changes in the third form of the word baked, followed by the by and her. She becomes her, because if we write she, it becomes totally senseless. So we write her. And cakes are in the plural form, so we use the word are. So cakes are baked by her. This is in the this is in this also in the this is in the past tense and is in the passive voice. And the tense changed too. So sorry, the previous one was in the present tense only. Okay, the tense don't change in passive voice. And he is built. And in this case, we can see that he is building a sandal castle. This is in the present continuous form, because we can see that it is building, means that is plus verb plus ing, which means that it is in the present continuous form. In this case, he is the subject, a sand castle is the object, and build is the verb. So it is in the active voice and in the present continuous, as I have already told you. And now we have to change into the passive voice. How do we change it? So in this case, a sand castle, which was the subject, has become the which was the object, has become the subject. A sand castle is building, or has become into is. A sandal castle is a singular verb, so it becomes is. And built, built. So in the third form of the verb, it becomes built. And as it is in continuous, we always use the verb form being, being. For continuous tense, we use the verb form being. And it is in the present continuous tense and in the passive voice. So the next comes the tense change 3, which is in the present perfect tense. This is in the present perfect tense. He is the subject, picture is the object, has drawn. Draw is the object, is the verb, So it is in the present perfect tense and we are in the active voice. Now we have to change into passive voice. So we change the picture, which is the object, into the subject. A picture has, for has been. For every perfect tense, perfect means we should use the verb form been. For continuous, we should use being. For perfect, we should use been. So in this case, it is in the present perfect tense. So we use the verb been, and has become has. Then there is no change in the verb form has. And draw, drew, drawn. So it is in the third form of the verb drawn. So a picture has been drawn by him. So this is in the passive voice and in the present perfect tense. So the next is the tense change form. And actually this is the present perfect continuous tense. According to their in traditional grammar rules, there is no change in the present perfect continuous tense. However, in recent times, we have been using the change in these tenses. So the tense, for example, we can see the example, because if they ask you in exams, you must be thorough with these knowledges. So for we can see some examples too. He has been mowing the lawn, and this is in the active voice. He is the subject, the lawn is the object, and have been mowing is the verb. So mowing is the verb, mowing, mow, mowed, mowed. So the third form of the verb is the mowed. So the lawn has been being. And you might ask the question, why we are using two verbs here, been, being, because this is in present perfect. Perfect means we should use ben, and continuous means we should use being. So present perfect continuous, present been, continuous being, mode. So this is a simple thing we can remember. The lawn has been being means present perfect continuous tense, has been being mowed by him is in the passive voice. So friends, this is the end of this, and now I will explain you about more in my future videos. Thank you. If you like this video, please do like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.